about what like the positive 2020, right? Like we know for a lot of us, we know like 2020, like this year cannot end any faster. It sucked, but there's definitely positive with obviously with like Thanksgiving around the corner, just the concept of Thanksgiving, like we wanted to talk about what we're grateful for. Because in every situation, right, there's always a way to find positivity and find like the light at the end of the tunnel. With that said, is there anything else that you guys want to talk about? Anything that's on your mind? Anything that has been on your mind that we could have a discussion over outside of just that? Feel free to suggest like anything in the world.
I just want to say that you guys have been doing amazing with this podcast. I've been at home listening to these episodes and they've been great.
Yay!
Yeah, guys.
Awesome.
That's good to
Thank
hear.
you so much for that.
They've been super informative, and especially with people like they have more time at home now. So I feel like podcast is just like a great way to.
I know you were downstairs.
You
What was
know,
your favorite part about it? So, like, what did you like about it? Like, what's been
I feel like you guys have been really open with your opinions, and that's not really easy to do and like put on like a social platform. But like even all the topics you guys talked about, and then you guys were so like open about it. You know, I've listened to a lot of podcasts, especially in the beginning. People are very like reserved and like, but it just like felt like a good conversation, and it all flowed really well. So I think you guys did really well.
You know, I don't know if anyone else has said it. Actually, you guys all have, but like definitely we appreciate that feedback. It's definitely heartwarming to hear it after 6 months. For today's discussion, the easiest, like we've done one Zoom podcast, right? So bear with us, like we're not experts by any means. But we want to make sure that for the conversation to go well and for it to not be everyone talking over each other, we're just going to ask that everybody mute themselves. And we're going to use the raise hand feature. Do you all know how to use the raise hand feature?
No.
I'm gonna take silence as a yes. Okay. On the bottom right, it says reactions.
She just said no.
When you
mean?
So I'm explaining it, Maz.
Okay.
Maz, how about you raise your hand, brother?
Yeah. So on the bottom right, next to share screen and record, you'll see reactions.
Yeah.
You can either use the thumbs up, the clapping emoji, whatever. Like, but that's how like I'll be meeting you guys, so I'll know who wants to talk at what point, and it'll just make it a lot easier and just more flowing. I know it's not gonna be as free flowing as it could be, but it'd be tough if we were all just talking over each other and nobody heard.
You could also go to participants, and then in the participants at the bottom, it says raise hand. You could do that too. So whichever one floats your guys' boat.
Sounds good.
All right, so I'm gonna mute everyone, and then we're just gonna start up on that. Cool. So again, thank you guys all for coming. We've never done anything like this. I know back in like August, Jamal suggested that we do an unfiltered live. It just never worked out for a variety of reasons. But with the COVID cases going up, this is honestly the perfect time to do it, right? And outside of doing something like this, we would never have like that chance to talk to you guys like this. So it's a super dope opportunity, and I'm glad that all of you are on the call just to talk to us. It actually means a lot because you guys could be doing a variety of things, but you're here right now, right? You're chilling with us. You're gonna talk to us about how the year has gone for you guys in 2020. Personally, I know like just from the podcast with all of us talking about it, you know, like Hannah graduated high school, like she didn't get her high school graduation. Tamor, Jamal, Anam, and I all graduated college, like we didn't walk. So, but those are like so trivial and like the long aspect of things, right? But what has gone on for you guys? Well, how has 2020 been? What are the ups? We all know the downs, but like, what are the good stories out of this? What the positives, I guess? Jamal, for this one, I'm actually gonna let you start.
All right. I mean, yeah. So there's a lot of bad things that happened that we all know about, COVID especially. But I feel like a lot of us could kind of relate, and I guess we're privileged in the sense too, where we had stay at home, where we could, for some of us that have awesome family, they could spend time with. That was a big privilege of mine that I had. And then also just self growth in general, being able to like pick up new things. Just in general, self growth. Being able to be, I'm trying to phrase this correctly, being able to be okay by yourself. So I was someone like before COVID hit, I used to like always had something to do, always had somewhere to go, always had someone to hang out with, people to hang out with, and had like plans per se. Probably the biggest self growth thing was being able to, in quarantine, like being okay being by myself and enjoying my own company in my own time. And I think I probably would not have learned that unless I were to go like live by myself for a few years. And I got that in like 6 months because of COVID. But yeah.
I feel like we've talked about that multiple times, between even the fact that, like, when you lived out in California for a little, like, you felt like being alone was, like, such a big thing because you learned how to live without having to rely on other people. Essen, how about you, man? What have you gotten out of this?
Like just to like add on to what Jamal was saying, like a lot of us got opportunities to sit with our families, make some more wholesome memories that we weren't really getting opportunities to make. And I think another important thing was we got to reflect and go back to those morals and values that we probably forgot over the time. I mean, you look at it, we're always outside, always hanging out with our friends, always we have some sort of plan. And we kind of forget our morals, we forget our values, especially like when it comes to like Islam, just praying 5 times a day, reading our Quran. We forget these values, and right now we're forced to be isolated, sitting in our homes, and we rediscover those things and how important they actually are to our lifestyle.
Omar, I see your hand go up.
Yeah. So basically, what I want to add on to what they both said. Like, I feel like everyone had some sort of an impact from this pandemic, but that ultimately came whatever it was, like the effect, the cause was just being isolated in a sense, right? I feel like for me, like I had the same idea of going, like how Jamal said, like being okay with being alone, right? I mean, I feel like I was enjoying my company, but I just started enjoying my company even more. It offered me time for self growth and self evaluation, things that like you can't really do when you're really distracted by life and all these different things and all these different things that kind of like really like, distract you. You know what I mean? Because I mean, because after a while, like just being glued to my phone, and just playing video games, I realized that I'm just doing it so I could like be distracted from like other things that I should really be like focusing on, right? Like real problems. Like I feel like the avoidance aspect of it just leaves, right? So now you're able to like really like face your problems and like face like things that you've been keeping in the back of your mind for a while. You know what I mean? Like then you're able to actually grow and evaluate, and I think that like for me especially, I got really close to my I mean, I really grew my deen a lot, you know what I mean? Like and that was like my number one thing. Because right off the bat, like cause I practice like being isolated sometimes too, like before the pandemic, just so I can grow and like spiritually, like grow like mentally and stuff like that, right? But then when this happened, I knew right off the bat like I had like this was a perfect opportunity for me to like what I mean, grow in areas that I can hold on for like a long time post pandemic. You know what I mean? And that's really what I focus on. And like I'm here sitting now, and I'm telling you, it was definitely worth it. I mean, and I would not be here if it wasn't because of the pandemic. So I'm very grateful for that. I think it is a blessing in disguise.
Same thing as Jamal said, basically, like for me too, like it forced me to like be more comfortable with my own company. And even when I was comfortable with my own company, like realize like how many other hobbies I could do at home besides like, just going out, being with friends all the time. And I feel like that was really important because I feel like we're always think that we always have to be busy. You always have to be out with your friends, always have to be doing something, but that's not always the case for everyone. So I feel like that's one thing that was really important to me is like having that alone time with myself and actually knowing like what I like to do in my downtime, what hobbies I want to do. And honestly, like overall, like it made my like working habits better. I was more like efficient. I did like more stuff at home because I don't have other things going on, which I really liked.
Yeah, so I kind of want to go off of what Umama and Jamal said. I think self-growth has been huge. And something specific that I noticed over the past few months is actually this idea of innovation. Like so many of my friends have started their own businesses, and like you said, these hobbies and finding time for your hobbies and things you enjoy and things that you didn't really get time for before. So it's been really cool to see all these people, kind of make that time and start their businesses, whether it's like even like baking pages or like photography pages. But it's been really cool to just see that aspect of it because, this year has been really different. But I think with change comes opportunity, and you really have to seek that opportunity. And when you do, I feel like everything going on doesn't seem as negative anymore, and you kind of take that step forward and you kind of progress in your own like personal life.
I agree heavily. Fahad, you had something to say too.
Yeah. So like same like with self growth and like trying new stuff. So like for me, I've always wanted to do my YouTube channel and I never got the chance because I was either busy with like getting ready for like college and all of that stuff. But now like just like the podcast, like it's not easy being like starting it and then start talking in front of a camera and all of that. So yeah, especially like I've like heard like every podcast that you guys made, and it's like amazing work that you guys do, like especially since day one I've always heard them, and it's like really amazing. You guys do like a pretty amazing job and all.
Thank you so much, bro. Alhamdulillah, that's dope. What's your YouTube channel about?
My YouTube channel usually like I haven't done much, but like my first video was like a Q&A. Then I talked about like few Islamic talks, like the importance of like parents, mercy, and then when there were like BLM movements and all like riots, I was talking about that and what we can do to support them and all of that. And yeah,
That's dope. MashaAllah, that's awesome, dude.
yeah.
Hannah, you had your hand raised. I don't know if you like took it down, but I don't know if you had anything to say.
I mean, yeah, I think that I can like kind of echo what other people said. I just don't think I would be the same person that I feel like I am today now if we didn't get so many months where we could like reflect and like see who we were. I feel like it's so easy to like get caught up in like your social circles and stuff because again our friends really do influence who we are and stuff, and when you go through a period where you don't see people that you know for like a long time, you like get to figure out like who you are, what you stand for more, and just like that time that you spend alone like kind of changes how you think because you're no longer influenced by other people. And I feel like that's been like one of the best parts of quarantine for me, where I finally like got more of a chance to like see like that I had different interests, and like I found out so many things about myself that I wouldn't have known otherwise if I didn't get all this like alone time.
Give us some insight. What is something new that you found out about yourself or that you learned?
Okay, well, I recently picked up, it's not something I didn't know about myself, but something I started working on again. So I've always like really been into art and drawing, and my school project when I was in like AP Studio for high school, like we have to like do specific types of work to fill our portfolio. And so I'd like forgotten entirely that I actually really enjoyed doing line drawings and like watercolors because what I was working with before was like really different and it was like all abstract. And so I guess I picked up a new skill, or not a new skill, but I picked up like a hobby, or reinstill the hobby, reinstate, I don't know. But I started doing something that I wasn't doing before.
That's dope. That's dope. Cool. Amina, you had your hand up too, but you put it down. I don't know if you had to. Yeah, go for it.
I don't know how to keep it up, but anyways, I don't know. I don't want to be like the Debbie Downer. I think that it's really beautiful that a lot of people were able to like find, that time for introspection and self-reflection and all of that. But me personally, just because of like the things that I've been through, I had that journey like 2 years ago. So this year it was kind of just me about like trying to survive the pandemic and then everything that happened with the Black Lives Matter. I know I don't have my camera on, but I am a Black Muslim. So the events of this summer, they hit really, really close to home. And if you guys are listening to like one of our earlier podcasts, I did mention that I've also lost a family member to police violence. So a lot of the things that happened this year have been they've been rough. And like, I'm also in school, and that's not fun because I have ADHD, and ADHD with online school is just not conducive. But I mean, there are a lot of silver linings. I got my driver's license. I'm spending more time with my mom. And since she's working from home, I know that she's safe. She works in the city. So I just really like that I'm always able to like know that my mom is okay. And that's always a plus. I did spend a little more time with trying to like improve my dean. I've been focusing on my health and just like making sure that it's, not awful. So like I'm not gonna lie and say this wasn't the worst year of my life, because it kind of was. But at the same time, it's still, it like God was still here and he was still like telling me to keep going. And that's kind of um how I know that I'm gonna make it through the rest of 2020 intact.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like, I think I think a lot of us could probably relate and say that this is probably one of the most challenging years that they've faced, especially as someone who's Black or African American, like the George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, et cetera, et cetera. Activism and social justice has been on the rise this year. We saw how powerful social media is for a variety of positive and negative reasons. But yeah, definitely. Nazish?
Oh yeah, I know what Amina said. Like whatever she said, it was what she touched on was so beautiful. I just wanted to go back and add to what Hannah and Aksa had said. How this year I was really able to get more in tune with myself. Like Hannah had said, like she learned more about herself. She reconnected with things that were kind of put on hold before, and now like I feel like this was just the opportunity for us to finally force ourselves to get in touch with ourselves as people too. And like how Aksa said, how a lot of her friends were starting new businesses, right? So I actually finally, well, I haven't officially launched it, but I did start my own bridal jewelry business. And although I'm still not officially launched, I got a couple of orders already this year. And I feel like if it wasn't for quarantine and the pandemic and everything that was going on, I would never have been able to start that because I just didn't have that time to put aside and actually focus on something like that and learn like what I was actually trying to do. Yeah, that's all.
Wait, hold up. I didn't even know you had one of those. Like what's your brand? What do you make?
It's like bridal jewelry, like traditional Desi bridal jewelry.
What's the name of the company?
Zivrat by Nazish. Zivrat is like the plural word of Zever, which is jewelry in Urdu.
Dude, that's so dope. What the heck? You gotta tell
We
us.
could
We're all
promote
the
it on
same. You
Unfiltered.
tell us.
Okay, so the thing is, I haven't officially launched yet, but
Okay.
I've been telling people like word of mouth, and that's how I've been getting orders finally, and it's just so amazing to me.
I feel you.
Okay,
That's
well,
dope.
now when I know people need jewelry or like bridal jewelry, I'll have them talk to you.
Not just the plug.
Yep.
Cool. All right, Umama.
Wait, what was the question? Was there a question or something?
I don't know. Someone just told me you wanted to talk.
Oh, I mean, no, not really, but
All right,
what are we
Masami,
talking
I'm gonna
about?
throw it back to you.
Okay.
Sarandi,
Oh,
I think
man.
I think Sarandi had something she wanted to say, right?
Sarandi?
Sarandi?
No, I don't want her to leave.
Dude, yeah, I
SK?
think small plug. Like none of this would be possible without Sarah, even though she's gonna sit in the corner on mute. But shout out to her because she gave us a platform to do that.
She's the best.
Yeah, I think it's kind of powerful. You guys are all touching on different things, right? You guys touched on everything from Dean to creativity to personal time. I think a lot of quarantine just revolves around self-love. Because I think once you started it, right, like the mental health aspect of it, I don't know about you guys, but it went from having that routine structure in your day-to-day, seeing the same people in your day-to-day. Well, not necessarily the same people, but like your group of friends. And all of a sudden it was like everything was shut down. And for a lot of people, like living by themselves and just being on their own and kind of transitioning day to day is tough. But it kind of seems like all of you found bright spots out of it, right? Whether you like strengthen your relationship with Allah or like Nazish, you came out with a secret jewelry brand that none of us knew about, even though we're with you every week. But I want to ask you guys what, like, other than like obviously everything that you guys gained, what were like the big picture things that you learned from 2020? We kind of talk about it on a week to week NFL time. We talk about like what can we do, right? And we talked about everything from the social media activism to like what professional athletes are doing. But like, what did you guys take away from 2020? Is there a big takeaway for you guys? There might not be.
I'm gonna start off. I'm gonna say the biggest thing that I learned was about privilege. I don't know if a lot of you were following us when we had a podcast and it was taken out of context, said some things we probably shouldn't have said because we weren't educated correctly on the topic. But I think that was a big learning experience. And on top of that, just with all the BLM social activism, knowing where you stand in the world in sense, and how privileged each and one of us that are actually even on this call are for even being able to have access to what we have. I think it's important to recognize your privilege and recognize your biases. And I think a lot of what happened in 2020 kind of paved that path forward for a lot of people, especially in America. So yeah, I'd say that's my big picture thing.
For me, this is kind of intense, but after seeing all the death that has been happening, like, with COVID, without COVID, people have just been dying constantly, right? And I feel like for me personally, that has been the biggest reminder that, death can come at any time. It's written for all of us. Seeing people constantly dying around us is has kind of gotten me to focus more on what's really important and prioritize properly. And I've been able to just give the right amount of attention to things that truly matter, let go of things that aren't as relevant, and I think that's just been the biggest thing for me, that I've been keeping death as that constant reminder in the back of my head, and reminding myself that we're all going to die one day, and we want to die in a state where we're happy with who we are as Muslims and as people. And that's just what I've been carrying from this year.
Sure.
One thing that oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
One thing that I took into realization was a lot of people, we take our health for granted. I feel like especially the second wave with coronavirus, I feel like a lot more people that I know got affected with COVID, and seeing them really sick and everything, people that are close to me, really shows you we really take our health for granted and how serious COVID is. I feel like initially, we did take it somewhat seriously, but the cases weren't as bad. And then, everyone started getting way too comfortable with going out, and they just got used to it rather than, quarantining for a specific amount and then making things better, but just living with it. And I feel like that's one thing that made me realize is we really take our health for granted, and it's COVID is scary, even not even Nazish said, even people are dying without COVID, just when someone's health gets bad, it's really scary. And honestly, even me, I started taking care of myself a lot more during quarantine, rather it be working out or even eating healthier foods, and not even that, but mentally taking care of my mental health and all of that. So I feel like that really put things into perspective.
I think taking your youth for granted was something I learned too. You'll see people older and they keep telling you oh, you're young, take advantage of it. It doesn't really hit you till you're wow, we really do have a privilege being this young, and our time and our years are numbered. But yeah, for sure. Maham?
So for me, I think a big thing was change, and since we had more time for ourselves, I got the chance to change and to become a little bit more better of myself. And another thing was just caring more about people around me, and seeing people getting affected by COVID was kind of hurtful, but it made me realize that I should care about them more and not take them for granted.
Yeah, definitely taking other people for granted. Shoot. Grandparents, parents, brothers, sisters, friends. It's been like that. Sure. Hannah?
So for me, a lot of COVID and Corona, my family was personally affected, and of course I valued my family members and I valued my parents, but not to the extent after having a moment where you were oh, I am in the position where I could lose my family or I could lose my parents, And so I feel like Corona has made me super thankful or grateful for my family, and it's made me really put more of an emphasis on spending time with them. And not only that, but with Ardeen, what Nazish was saying, I thought to myself, I was like if I died right now from COVID, would I make it into heaven? And honestly, the answer was not an immediate yes, right? And so it's that kind of prompts you more to wanna participate in your religion, because it's so easy to say oh, I'll start reading more Quran in the future, or I'll start praying more on time in the future, but there's no time like the present, right? Especially when we never know when our time on this earth will be done. And so personally for me, COVID really made me consider religion and my family so much more.
For sure. Yeah, definitely. Amina?
Kind of going off of what Nazish was saying, nothing prepared or taught me about the bitterness of mortality more than the passing of my grandmother last year and Kobe Bryant and of course Chadwick Boseman. When when all of those things were happening, I just sat back and I was just like, good, because Kobe Bryant was younger than my mom, so that was a lot for me. And then to find out that his daughter and her friends were also involved in that crash. And I just remember I was teaching Blessed Bonds at the time, and my girls they were 7 to 9, and I talked to them about because Islam never shies away from mortality. And I was just like, I used it as a teaching experience to be like, Allah can take us at any time. It's like, and are you ready for if or when that happens? Do you feel like you've done enough to please Allah in the end? And then sometimes you don't know if you have. And it's just this idea that death can come at any time. Because I definitely was, even my grandmother was older, but I still wasn't expecting it, and then I don't know. I'm not going anywhere with this, but that's kind of just how I felt about what Nazish was saying.
I don't know, go ahead.
I was gonna say, yeah, Umar, you're up next. But yeah, go for it.
No, I just didn't get a chance to talk. I just wanted to commend Amina for I really admire and appreciate what your honesty and stuff like that, especially about how when you talk about this year and how it was really not the best year for you, and how I admire your strength too and stuff like that. I mean, you've been through a lot, and I really respect that. But yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, for sure. But also shout out to Saranti because I didn't get to say that either. But also another thing that I want to talk about, right, when you guys were all talking, is what I got out of that, because I obviously I was reflecting, but then when I was hearing different perspectives of everyone, I got the the theme that nothing's really predictable, right? It's taking things for granted and stuff like that. That all goes into how nothing's guaranteed, and the next, not even about life or death, the next hour, I'm talking about a pandemic that came out of nowhere. I mean, it's super unpredictable, because even when we were going to phase 3 and phase 4, what happened was we backtracked. Right now we're back in phase 3. So if you think about it, nothing is, you have to be comfortable, be uncomfortable at this point. I mean, and that's something that I really worked on. I mean, to be comfortable being uncomfortable, because you wake up one day and it's you're in phase 3, and the next day you're in phase 2 again. I mean, so and that's just something I realized that that really, it was just from reflection, reflecting from everything, that nothing's guaranteed, nothing's predictable. I mean, at least in this year. You know what I mean?
If you were to drop Kobe Bryant right now into the world again, right, and he looked around, I don't think he would have any idea why is everyone wearing masks?
Exactly.
So yeah, nothing is predictable. You're right on that for sure. Fahad.
Just like everyone said, it just gives you a sense of how much we should appreciate everyone around us, our friends, family, and our own life. It's just a big wake up call at this point for everyone, because everyone just joke, most of our lives we just joke around with everything, even when we're kids, oh, we're gonna say we're gonna live a long life and all of that, but we don't know what's gonna happen, in the next 5 seconds or anything. Anything can happen. It can change our life in a big or small way. And for me, being a heart patient, going through a lot of open heart surgeries, it gives me that sensibility of how lucky I am that I'm still breathing till this moment. And then with this, it just gives me even a bigger wake up call, and just makes me more appreciative of what we have, and the tiny things we do. Even with every breath we take, we should be thankful for it. And yeah.
Yeah, I feel it's so easy to overlook that, and to live your day hour to hour, minute to minute, but no one ever lives a second to second, or even minute to minute.
Yeah,
definitely. Mashallah, and that's awesome, dude. That's a crazy journey that you had. So definitely want to recognize that. Super respectful. Yeah, much mad respect. Cool. Nazish.
Yeah, I just wanted to touch on what Omar and Fahad had said about how this is really just a wake-up call, and everything that's been happening this year, we should just take it and realize that nothing is truly in our control, and there's someone up there that's controlling every bit of our lives. And no matter how hard we try to make things go our way, it's just not going to happen. Whatever's written is written, and that's it, you know. But I feel like we should always take this as like an opportunity to learn, because you know we're faced with tests every single day, and this is one of our biggest tests that we've had to deal with. This year has been just insane in so many different ways, and I feel like that's what we need to remember, because the amount of things that we've learned from it, like collectively as a group, I feel like that's ultimately our sort of like a guidance that has been set down for us, you know. And that's all.
For sure, yeah, definitely. Asan, if he's here.
You're
If not,
muted.
I think he's still on mute.
There you go.
Yeah, so like what I thought was like just in 2020 in general, like for me, like before this pandemic happened, like I was always working. I was either in school or I was at work. And you know, after the pandemic happened, I saw how important mental health became for people, like just across social media and talking to my friends. There was just much more awareness than there was before. And I think mainly because of how we were all isolated, how a lot of us don't really have those big friend groups that we could always reach out to. And it kind of became, it created a big picture for me that it's important to be mindful of how others are feeling, regardless if you know them well or not. Like just the other day, this kid I went with high school with, he was a cancer patient multiple times. Out of nowhere, he hits me up. And I guess because he was feeling lonely, and it kind of gave me the sense that there's a lot of people out there like that really don't have those groups that they can rely on. And it's just really important that we're mindful of those people around us to make sure that we also communicate with them, to make sure we're all standing together, not divided.
100%. I think someone mentioned it earlier, but everyone is thrown out of their routine. And some of that routine that could have been fitness, being with friends, playing sports, like whatever it may be, that kept people mentally in check. And people that already struggled and had mental health challenges, and I think the stats like 1 in 5 people, so like a lot of people probably in this call. It was a massive transition and a hard transition for a lot of people once COVID hit and once quarantine hit. But then being able to like find your own groove and finding your footing again, I think that's where that growth really lies. So yeah, awesome. I think we have Aksa.
Can you hear me?
We hear you now.
Okay. I just wanted to go off. Everyone was talking about, you know, appreciation and like you said, Ahsan, about mental health. I think a lot for me this year was celebrating your successes, whether they were big or small. I think a lot of people that I've talked to have been, you know, thinking like, oh, I feel like I've been like set back a year in my life. I feel like I just wasted a whole year of my life. But I feel like that mentality is not a good mentality to have. You know, there's been a lot of successes. Yes, you know, we've been cooped up in our homes for all this time, but this is just one example, but we've all been at home. There's been less driving, less flying, but I don't know how much you guys follow the news, but you know, worldwide, we've actually had better air quality because of that. You know, people in like China and India wear masks on a daily basis because their air quality is so bad. But the fact that we've stayed at home all these months and the world, you know, our planet has literally been healing despite the chaos. So I feel like, you know, there's big and small successes like that. Like even, I don't know if you guys are Food Network people like I am, but you know, it's nice to see like restaurants sharing their secret recipes so we can try them at home. And like that's not a big deal, but it's like small things like that, or like people, you know, uniting when it comes to like sports, like the fact that we still have sports and, you know, like the NBA was playing in a bubble and stuff like that. So for me, I feel like there's been this sense of like unity, like our communities have come together. And that I've really seen throughout the year, and it's been really nice to see that.
Yeah, because I think for the first time ever, like probably not the first time ever, because we had the influenza, the Spanish one, but like it's like humanity versus something else. It's not partisan. It's not like we're all on the same side in that sense. So yeah, you're right on that. Facts. I wish they took global warming and stuff as serious as that though. Amina, and then we're gonna transition topics. Amina.
I was just going to talk a little bit about mental health. And I think that like people had been talking about it, but then this pandemic kind of made it more like okay or acceptable to people who otherwise would not have entertained the discussion, especially here in like the Muslim community. Like me personally, I've gone through like a lot of like my own like mental health crises, and COVID and like the Black Lives Matter, all of that stuff didn't necessarily help. That's why I joined the podcast so late actually, is because like I just didn't feel in the right headspace. But what I've noticed about like this just pandemic in 2020 in general is that we are starting to like prioritize ourselves and like making sure that we're okay before we go out and try to like help or take care of other people. And our community has come together in really great ways. Like I have one of my best friends is way below the poverty level, and you know she's accessed a lot of these programs that other people like in the community have been a part of, like delivering food to people, delivering like medication, and doing things like that to make sure that like our community is still taken care of, even though it's like it's really tough, you know. But yeah, that was kind of my point. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, definitely. This has been an amazing discussion so far. Honestly, I didn't expect it to go this smooth. So I'm happy. I'm happy it's going like this, and hopefully you guys feel the same. It's awesome hearing you guys' thoughts on a lot of this stuff. I guess kind of to like push it past 2020, looking at 2021, looking at inshallah there's a vaccine that comes out, and I think it's a whole different debacle if you're going to take it or not. But in a post-COVID world, how will you guys live life differently in the sense that you had 2019, you had 2020 with COVID, then now you're gonna have 2021, 2022. Is there anything you're changing from the way you lived because of how 2020 went? Because of if there's one thing you can name that happened in 2020 that's gonna make you live your life differently, what would that be? Other than maybe self-growth, other than picking up new creative skills, just in general. And I think Amina, you have your thumbs up there, so I'm gonna go ahead and throw it over to you to start.
For me, I kind of want to go back to what you said close to the beginning of the discussion when you brought up privilege. As an African American, I definitely don't have much, but I have some, because getting to know my good friend who's like below the poverty line, that was when I realized that it's a blessing to have, you know, regular access to food and shelter and clothing. And I didn't, and then she didn't get any like unemployment or any like financial assistance. So like things have been 10 times more difficult for her than they have been for me, because like I'm still sitting at home, I'm comfortable, I know where my next meal is coming from, I know that I'll be able to afford whatever it is that I may need, if that's like healthcare or anything otherwise. And so like I was definitely more aware of my blessings. And so going forward in a post-COVID world, I want to be more like just like self-aware that, you know, things might be bad for me, but I can't like discount what's going on in other people's lives.
Definitely. Does anyone else want to chime in? No one has their hand up or emojis up.
I think
you got also Omar, Ehsan, and Furiel.
Oh, okay. I didn't see that.
In whatever order. I think Ux has been up for a while. So Ux, do you want to take it from here, and then we can go Omar?
Yeah. I was gonna say what Amina said, but I'll add something else. I think for me, it's really important to like appreciate people for who they are. I think that it really took this pandemic for like people to realize that homeschooling is hard, and like there's value in teachers, and there's value in these healthcare workers, and even like people like, you know, delivery drivers and like shelf stackers and like cashiers. I feel like people don't appreciate them for like what they do. So really just appreciating people for who they are, letting people be who they want to be, and just kind of being okay with that.
For sure. Umar.
Like I forgot what I was gonna say.
Wait, I had a
really good point, but okay, let me just think.
I will come back to you. Asan.
Yeah, like I was just gonna say that I'm gonna look into creating more balance in my life. You know, over the pandemic, as a lot of us said, we got to hang out with our families. We got to enjoy those moments. And you know, personally, me, I got to be more involved in my community. I know a lot of you were also part of that grocery initiative that Youth of MCC was doing. So I got to be part of that. So I think going into 2021, I'm going to try to create that balance where I could be with my family, where I could be with my community at the same time while I'm working and going to school as well. I think that's gonna be really vital.
Yeah, no, definitely. For y'all, you haven't spoken yet. What's up?
To them, everyone, I just want to say you guys all are doing such an awesome job. One thing that I wanted to share that I'm definitely going to take to 2021 with me is that like there has been so many negative times, and it's so easy to like constantly be focusing on the negatives. But something that I do every day, and I share this with all my family and friends, and it may sound stupid, but it actually helps so much, is every single night before I go to bed, I reflect on my entire day, even if it like sucked. And I think about what's one positive thing that I had today. And like it could be something as simple as like I got to have clean water today, because some days are so bad that you can't even think of one thing. Or there might be something even greater. So really just focusing on the positives, and really just inshallah going into 2021 with like so much gratitude. But yeah, that's what I want to say. But you guys try it. It's a life changer. Every night, try and think of one thing that you're grateful for.
We love our water. That's facts. Cool. Fahad.
So one thing that I would take from this year into the next year, I would say like having like even though like everything might seem bad, there's always like some type of positivity that's always gonna happen in your life, like no matter how big or small it is. And just like remember like this year shows us like what we can do if everyone just unites together as just one group of people, because like during the BLM movements and all, you saw how active people were on social media and helping one another, and everyone was like usually on a daily basis, if this was to happen, like people would start arguing and like fighting like and like trying to prove one another's point. But this year it didn't show like that, but everyone was like united together. No one, like it was like showing how much people can actually care and how much unity can mean to everyone.
No, definitely, 100%. Thanks for sharing, Fahad. Maz, we're gonna put you on the spot. If you're talking, you're muted.
Hey, what's up, guys? Sorry, the question was one thing that we are gonna take forward for the next year, right?
Yeah.
Man, that is a good question. I don't know. So I had a work from home experience this this year, I guess, and it was just like I feel like next year is gonna be a lot of that, right? Like I feel like just a lot of these companies, for anyone that does work from home or had to work from home, I feel like they had to adjust a lot this year. So I don't know. I feel like there's going to be a lot more of that next year. So I feel like if you're getting used to it now, I feel like you should definitely, if you're not already used to it, become more accustomed to it, just because it's going to be a thing, right? So, and I don't know. I think other than that, there's just been like, and I guess I'll echo a lot of what other people have talked about with like namaz and like, making sure you're on top of that. I think, that's a huge thing. And like making sure, since you're not home, right, you shouldn't have an excuse. Like, since you're home, I mean, that means that you should have like no excuse for like missing out on any of your salahs. So just kind of carrying forward with that, I think is very important. So yeah.
So thanks for sharing. We have Tamur next, and then Amina right after.
I know we talked a lot about how like life is unexpected with everything that went on this year with a lot of people's lives, whether they're close to us or people like Kobe or even like Juice WRLD, Pop Smoke. I can go on and on. Chadwick Boseman. So just don't take. One thing I realize is that I value time a lot, so I don't like sleeping too much. Having too many of those days where you guys just stay home, be lazy. So I value time and just people and stuff. So that's pretty much what I was trying to get into. Yeah.
Dope. I think we have Nazish next.
Okay, so I wanted to emphasize on is that we've learned a lot of things this year, but I feel like what we always tend to do is that we just, as soon as that time passes, we're just kind of like, we're over it, like we forget about it. Like even these past few years, like we've seen death around us, right? But that reminder kind of just goes away after a few weeks or so. At least that's what I've noticed happens with me or with like, some of my close friends who like that reminder just kind of leaves us after a while. And the one thing I really, really want to emphasize is that anything that we learn now, we shouldn't just take it for granted and leave it within this past year, because these are things that are going to follow us throughout, not even next year, but the year after. And things like death, how we should be as Muslims, practicing Muslims, people in general, getting in touch with our hobbies and our passions, that we shouldn't lose that motivation at all.
Yeah, for sure. Amina?
Okay, so I just wanted to say like a few really, really quick things. First, Fariel, hi, nice to meet you. I actually think that's a really great thing to do. The friend that I keep mentioning, she has like this little gratitude journal, and her goal is to get to like 25 things before the end of the day, like that she's thankful for. And it can be anything like, she is thankful for like being able to pray Salah every day, but then it could also be something like her favorite food is blueberry pancakes, which I think is really adorable. But just like those little things, doing it every day. And I'm a creative writer, and I tried getting back into journaling, and it is fantastic. I recommend it to anybody who feels like they have too much going on in their head, just period. And then just echoing what Nazish said, like this year is it's not just gonna be over and that's it. Like we're literally gonna be in history books in a little while. And like all of everything that we're doing, all of the habits that we're picking up, we're gonna have to like carry those over into like our future, like for pretty much forever. So we have to be like ultra like hyper aware of everything that we say and everything that we do.
Isn't that crazy how like we're probably like our kids, their kids going on, this is going to be something they're going to read about in history books. If history books
Tell me about 2020. Tell me about the toilet paper shortage.
Right? I still don't get that. All right, Umar.
So I wrote down this time, so I have everything I need to say. But first, I want to first start with Fariel. What you said about being grateful, that's really awesome. I mean, I feel like I self-reflect all the time, but I feel like that self-reflection is always, sometimes it could be either or like a positive or negative connotation, but adding that aspect of being grateful for something, like at the end of the day, kind of just like puts like a positive spin on things. I mean, and I think that's a really like good idea. I'm probably gonna try it. And so yeah, I appreciate you for sharing that. And then for Fahad, when he said about being active on social media, I think that's something that I want to emphasize, because I feel like we have voices that, and especially in this century, like in this era, our voices are very like much echoed by like social media. I mean, and social activism, stuff like that. And online, places, right? So, and I think that it's really important that we like, you know what I mean, we keep projecting our voices through things, even if we're not singing at home, because like it matters a lot. You know what I mean? It made a lot of change, and I feel like that that's what created unity, because it's kind of ironic that we felt the most sense of unity in a time when we were all almost separated. You know what I mean? So it's like, and that was only possible because our voices were projected, you know, and with the same idea, same theme. So I think that that's really awesome, that we should definitely keep that with us post pandemic. And what Nazish said about how, it was really important, I think, because what she said was like, you know, that, you know, because when you go through hardship, I feel like you learn stuff, and like things happen, stuff like that. But when the good times come, I feel like we tend to forget these things again, and like we learn so much stuff, and so many good things. And I feel like that that it should be engraved as part of us, rather than just being something that we learn and we can't forget. Because this is what's gonna like it shaped us already, but the things we learn is what we're gonna carry throughout our life. So I feel like it's really important to not like forget the things that we, you know, kind of remembered and stuff like that. Because, you know, because whatever we learn is almost like a reminder. And so no matter where we are in our life, that's not going to change. Like how she was talking about death. You know what I mean? Like if you're more aware of death now, that's not going to change 20 years down the line, because you're going to die eventually. And what I want to say is like something I want to take into next year, and I know I'm getting kind of long with this, was you might not be able to see your circumstances around you the way you want them, like your circumstances, like for example, like your, like how Amina's friend was talking about, like her poverty and stuff like that. Your circumstances might not be up to par of where you want to be, but that doesn't mean you can't make the circumstances, right? That it doesn't have to define your happiness. You know what I mean? So like, just because you don't have to be not in a pandemic to be happy. I mean, you make the circumstances the way you look at things, it's the way that you like work on yourself mentally. You know what I mean? It's all about the mentality of it, right? So I feel like something I would take into 2021 is like, no matter what the external factors are, internally I'm always working on myself. I'm always like good, and I keep practicing that. You know what I mean? So I'm taking care of myself, like, you know, self-love, self-care and stuff like that is super important. And I feel like that's really needed. And with that, you can work with any circumstance you're given in the world. Thank you.
That was powerful. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
I said that all in one breath. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, man, definitely take a breather.
I have ADHD too, by the way. So
I feel you. So we have gone over the hour mark. We started at 8, a little bit past 8. It's like 9:08. I want to respect everyone's time, so we're gonna transition it kind of to finish off. But just before I hand it over to Musani, I just want to say, like, we did not think that this discussion would be as awesome as it was. So we want to thank y'all for coming out, and we're definitely going to try to host one of these again on different topics. Doesn't have to be just this, and probably do a better job at doing it too. But I'm going to go ahead and transition it over to Musani. Musani, let us know what you're going to carry over into 2021 as well.
Damn, I was not expecting that last question. I don't know, man. I think the only thing I can carry over to 2021 is like just the mindset, right? I think it's always so easy to bury yourself in your circumstances and act like everything around you is going, like it's not going well, so you're not gonna continue to push. You know, but I think everyone in here has made great points about how there's always hope. I think everyone's had different stories. I think it's been powerful. The one thing about Unfiltered that I enjoy is like every week that we show up, right? Like I learned something from you guys, but we had the chance today to learn from different people that like I was like, we don't see you, right? Like I'm getting tired of these guys. I see them every single week. I'm not learning anything, but I learned a lot from you guys, whether it be Jamal's face. You know, I feel like there was just a lot to learn from this discussion. I think that was the beauty of holding something like this. If again, right, Jamal, first off, thank you for hosting. Second, thank you guys all for coming, right? It wouldn't be possible without you guys. If you guys are up for it, we'd like to carry the chance, like have a discussion, like quick 5 to 10 minute discussion, just unrecorded and off the camera though.